The President, Cyril Ramaphosa, launching the new Electronic Travel Authorisation system today at OR Tambo. It means people will be able to apply for visas online, and then when they arrive here, I'm presuming, will be able to use that visa to enter the country. Should speed up the process for people from many countries coming here. As I understand it, around 4 countries currently qualify, but I presume it'll be rolled out quite quickly to other countries. And obviously people from the EU, the UK or the US that are visa-free don't need a visa to enter here. The Minister at the Home Affairs Department is Leon Schreiber. Minister, good evening and thank you for your time. How's the system going to work? If I'm a foreign national from one of these participating countries and I arrive here, what do I need to do?
Good evening, Stephen. Yes, I think we must just start with how it used to work because the contrast is useful. In the past, we had real issues with legitimate travelers, including tourists or investors from countries that require visas, even for short visits to South Africa. They were really struggling to obtain those. The process was manual. In many cases, it was paper-based, and there were only a few locations. If you think about a country like China, there were 2 locations for 1.4 billion people where they had to physically go and apply. So there were huge economic losses on the one side, but on the other hand, we also had the security vulnerabilities of visa processes that are paper-based, that are manual, and that can be manipulated. Everything from a visa permit document to a passport, or even just outright bribery, is possible when you have a system that is discretionary and where an official is actually processing that application. So we are addressing both the economic side of the equation as well as the security side by rolling out this electronic travel authorization. The traveler will now, instead of going through that tedious process, they will visit eta.dha.gov.za. On that platform, they will register an account. We will verify their cell phone numbers and their email addresses. They will then submit an application which involves scanning their passport. It involves taking a selfie, and we then run facial recognition to make sure that it is the right person. We actually have machine learning technology that verifies that the passport and supporting documents are authentic. And then if they're a legitimate traveler, within 24 hours, they get a visa outcome, which they store in the wallet on their phone. And when they arrive in South Africa, they do facial verification once again. So we've completely removed discretion from this process. And as I said, really addresses both the economic potential and the security sides of the equation.
Okay, so in that 24-hour period, which is incredibly quick, I'm sure quicker than other countries that have similar systems, what's going on in the background? What are you actually checking?
Well, I saw one of a traveler from India who was one of the early users of the system while we were just piloting it. He actually posted on LinkedIn that he got his visa in 8 minutes through this ETA. So, I mean, what happens in the background is, as I said, the matching to make sure that your face matches your passport photograph. There's also the document verification that I mentioned, and then other risk management tools. For example, are you listed on a wanted list by Interpol? These are the kind of innovations from a security perspective which only become possible once you fully embrace digitalization. So those processes run in the back once you've submitted your application. There is also, we've put out a proposed fee for public comment, which we are just finalizing in order to fund the system going forward. So all of those processes happen online, and then it's really an instant thing if you are a legitimate traveler. Important to say, Stephen, we've processed over 210,000 of these applications during the pilot phase with 4 countries, which we launched around the G20. 6,100 applications have been declined because we could pick up fraudulent documents or faces that didn't match. So that just shows you, again, the power on the security side.
Sure. Okay. So people who are from countries where you don't need a visa and they don't need to apply, they don't do this. But is anything going to change for them over the longer term? I mean, this is an important change. And once your system goes digital, you can start to do all sorts of other things with it.
No, you're absolutely right, which is why we've taken the proactive decision to make the ETA available on a voluntary basis, so for people who are visa exempt. So the idea is for anyone who needs a visa, and we're currently talking here really about short stay visits, that it will be compulsory for anyone who needs a visa to use the ETA once it becomes available in your country, because we want to do away with these multiple channels and all those manual processes. But for people who are visa exempt, which is particularly your sort of traditional tourism source markets, we're actually going to make it available voluntarily because we think there are two main pull factors that will make people actually demand this. The first one is that your processing time at the airport is vastly faster. I mean, when I was with the president this morning, we actually went to the counter and a traveler who we didn't know, we didn't pre-select them or anything. It was a legitimate traveler from China who showed up, was processed in 41 seconds. So I think that's going to be attractive to travelers. And then I think the second thing that's important is the ETA also has an extension module built into it. This is now where a tourist stays for 90 days and they decide they love this place so much they want to extend their holiday. In the past, it was nearly impossible to get the 90-day extension, which you are legally entitled to. And now that's on the ETA and you can instantly get the extension as well. So that is, I think, a real draw card for visa-exempt travelers too.
I'm just trying to think of the person from China landing at the airport, going through and being greeted personally by the Home Affairs Minister and the President.
And the President, exactly right. And, and there was the BMA official processing them within 41 seconds. And I remember the President asked the traveler, what did you think? How was your experience? And he was beaming, Stephen. He said this is the best experience he's had. This ETA is just completely changing perceptions of South Africa. We could see it on his face.
Could we get to a point where you don't actually have to see a human being when you enter South Africa? That does happen in some places and at certain border points, but not at all of them, obviously.
No, you're exactly on the right track. So one of the things that we discussed this morning is collaboration with AXA, because the ETA, because it has now fully digitalized the process, it actually removes the role of a passport stamp. In many countries, you will find that there's no longer stamping of passports because the facial verification and the record of you entering is actually stored digitally and it's all linked to your face. And again, when you exit, the face is recorded. So we've got the whole foundation in place. All we now need to do is probably just repurpose these e-gates that are owned by AXA so that we can automate the entry process. And indeed, we really have the building blocks now for a completely automated entry and exit, which is, again, just to emphasize, it's all based on your face. The face becomes the key. The passport, which can be manipulated, the visa document, which can be manipulated, those things are fading into the background as we embrace biometric technology.
And this will also change the life of South Africans who travel, right? It'll be quicker and easier for them over the longer term.
Well, the most important thing we still have to do for South African travelers is in relation to our own South African passport. So in a sense, you're right that we can use the same principles behind the ETA at South African passports. I would like to see the use of e-gates much more widely adopted for South African travelers as well. But the real benefit will come with some of the reforms that we're driving on the South African passport. That's not directly related to the ETA, but that's about your passport application process, where we are automating that. We'll be rolling that out to these 400 plus bank branches before the end of the year, which will also be exactly like the ETA, a fully digitalized application process. In other words, you walk into the bank, you look into the camera, and if your face matches your profile, you can apply for the passport. If it doesn't match, there's nothing you can do. There's no one you can pay to get a passport. And that's part of what we're doing to really enhance the legitimacy of the South African passport. And once we've done that, we can then go and negotiate for more visa-free access.
The Minister, Leon Schreiber, the Minister of Home Affairs, on The Money Show.